That's joining us, if you could put your name and your GWEP and your role in the GWEP in the chat, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Hello, hello. Welcome everybody as you're joining. We're going to give everybody another minute to get signed on. Uh, so welcome to 2026. We're super excited about embarking on our second half of our year 2 of our cohort 3 of our geriatric workforce enhancement programs for for all of the work we're doing. Thank you guys for your continued interest in our special interest group. Super excited to see everybody. Okay, Kristen, if you want to, oh, we're already recording. Okay, if you want to go to the next slide. So we don't have a big agenda this month. We just wanted to touch base on a couple of things, and also we're going to solicit volunteers from the group. So we hope everybody will volunteer for us, and we're also give some opening for some Q&A, and that's most of what we will do now. So the first topic on our agenda is going to be just logistics for our special interest group for 2026. So next slide. Perfect. So for anyone who was forwarded this link from someone else, the registration link, Grayson did a very nice tiny URL for us. So if you need to send this link to anyone else, please use the R.E.D SIG 2026, which does lead to our logistical change. We at SGA, when we were all together in Boston, we had a meeting in person. So those who could attend that one, we're really glad to see you face to face in person. And so we had a discussion there around who's attending these and what the name kind of conveys. So the evaluation SIG to a lot of individuals conveys evaluation, and a lot of the work that we do and the information that we're providing is more geared towards what a lot of people put in the reporting bucket or put in a data bucket, but don't consider themselves to be the evaluators. They consider themselves to be a data collector or a reporter, as I said. So sometimes the individual who's entering the annual performance progress report into the EHB for the GWEPs considers themselves a reporting staff, but not evaluation staff. And so we want to make sure that that we're, one, inclusive, and two, a little bit more clear about this is an umbrella SIG to encompass all of the different aspects of data within GWEPs. So we wanted to change the name to the GWEP Reporting, Evaluation, and Data Special Interest Group. So you guys will see that now. So now we're the R.E.D GWEP SIG. So we're happy about that. We also got some feedback that the time in which the time frame that we had it scheduled that Friday is problematic for a lot of our people who would like to attend, and that the 3 o'clock time slot was still a little early for our individuals who are on our West Coast and in Hawaii. So we did move the time, and it will be on stationary every month on the second Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. I think this will also keep us away from any major holidays as well. So we should be good for all of 2026. And if anybody has any questions about this, let us know. We will continue, as we've been doing in 2025, to record the sessions and to send out a link to the recording and the slides after we're done. Okay, sounds great. And on that note, next slides, please. As we had the discussion in November, we also talked about what what the topics of discussion have been in our SIGs, and we have very much been, and I talked about this data collector, the first point here. We've very much been focused on what are the tools and tricks and tips on completing a lot of the HRSA data requirements. So the EHB annual performance report, and then also the non-competing continuation report, as well as we looked at the quarterly progress reports. And so a lot of, and at a high level, what did that look like, and kind of what does it look like to have a work plan and things along those lines. And what tools can you use to collect the data that we have to submit to HRSA? What kind of tools can we use? So we really wanted, we've done that, and honestly, that stuff stays the same for all 5 years. And we don't think that it's beneficial to revise, to redo that level of analysis. If anyone is new to the team or they have, and a reminder, if anyone has oncoming new data analyst, data collectors, evaluators, and they would like them to go back and watch some of those videos, we have, I think it's in Vimeo playlist that you can go back and rewatch those videos. So anyone who has that, we definitely make those available. Just reach out. We'll send you the link to that. So we wanted to take a shift now that we've covered most of those topics and start looking, instead of at these technicalities, nitty gritty, let's look at more umbrella. How are people evaluating their programs under their GWEPs? And so, so shifting our attention to presentations from you as the GWEPs. So this could be, it could be something that is how you've evaluated one of your community-based programs. It could also be something along the lines of tools that you've used and interesting tools. So I was at one session at GSA that was talking about the importance of using rubrics when you're doing things like case competitions, or when you're doing things with your trainees to help implement some trainings to be able to evaluate the feedback of that. And rubrics can be very important of how you judge and grade activities, but that you get a lot more valuable information about the trainings and the activities if you have a more robust rubric than if you have a very high level rubric. So there was a presentation that talked about what their rubric did look like, and they did some deep dive work around how to improve it, and they showcased what the new improvements look like, and then they also talked about they did some evaluation with the participants of, you know, did this rubric help you, one, better prepare for the activity, the event, the training, and so this was a case competition. And then two, did for the individuals who were doing the judging, did it help you judge better? And they got some really great feedback. So they had some evaluation data around the rubric. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that your intervention to prevent falls led to a 10% reduction in falls. It doesn't have to be at that level. It could be a lot of these other levels are very informative for all of our individuals on our GWEPs. To help them as they evaluate how to collect data and how to interpret data and how to move forward with their projects. So we want you to think broadly about these presentations, and then we'll still carve out time at each of these hours to do some Q&A sessions, particularly around the time period of, I know the QPUs are due next Friday. I know after that, then we're going to have the next set of QPUs with the non-competing continuation report due in March. So we'll leave some time to talk about any Q&A that comes up around that. So that is our plug for how we think we should shift this, and it'll be great to see other people presenting besides myself and Grayson. So our ask, please, if you could reach out to Grayson and let her know any presentation that you did related to your GWEP at GSA or at an upcoming regional gerontological society meeting. Any of those presentations would be great if you could repurpose it. The ones I was talking about, I've reached out to those presenters and asked them if they could please come and present on our session. Most of the people on the call weren't able to attend that session, so it's good. And even if one or two did, it's always good to revisit important innovations. So that is our plug to please reach out to Grayson if you are willing to present. And then also a little bit of a heads up that if we don't fill our roster very quickly, Grayson will start reaching out to individuals asking if you could please present.
Yeah, so just so we all know, we have presenters for February, March, April, and May. We are looking for someone for the back half of the year, so June through December.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Grayson. Okay, I think next slide. But I think that's all of the feedback that all the presentation materials I have, and we can open it up for some Q&A. I did just as a high level, I know I'm sure we're all keeping an eye on the federal government and their continuing resolution. As far as I don't have any insider information, but it does expire January 31st, so we're keeping our eyes out. It doesn't affect our current year of data of funding. The federal budget for this fiscal year will affect whether or not we receive our year 3 funding, and also if the continuing resolution is not extended or budget bills pass, then of course Congress is again on furlough, which does impact us in the sense that our program officer is not working and not accessible. So that would have an impact. But other than I have no feedback. I have gotten no headwinds of whether we think Congress is going to extend it or pass budgets. I will say I've seen no budget passed since then, so I'm not sure what the status is. So I'm just checking once a week. Do we have anything? And looking at the news sites that I'm sure we're all looking at. So as far as I know, high level impact on the GWEPs. That's the only kind of federal impact that I know of. Hopefully everybody's QPU from last quarter has finalized the system before you have to go in and enter it for this quarter. And I haven't seen any issues with the system now. And I did see ours, and it's populated, and we're going to be submitting on time. So does anybody have any topic or question that they would like to ask the group? Okay. Hearing none, no questions from Maine. Thank you, Ruth. We do encourage everyone to please reach out, let us know. We're excited. Trying to remember what, let me check and see. We have a spreadsheet of who's agreed to present when. So next semester, next month, we will, of course, take some time to think about NCC report, which will be due in March. And then assuming all of our presenters are available, we thought we would actually look at a slightly different question of how do the different GWEPs organize their program management. And so looking at the things from like the program director lens of like how many program directors do you have? How do you allocate different projects between program directors if you have more than one? And then also looking at like what kind of staffing model do the different GWEPs employ, and then also probably touching a little bit on project management. And I think on that topic, Grayson might do a short demonstration of how our team uses a program management tool called Asana to kind of keep track, particularly, and we'll probably use that as our NCC topic area time because we'll be using our Asana tool to keep track of what are all of the elements of the NCC report that have to be done and who's doing them and what is the status of making sure that they're all together so that we're ready to submit when the EHB opens. So I think that is our current thought. on what we will do next month. Okay, and there are a couple of questions in the chat. So someone, Laura asked, does anyone have a resource for heat mapping software? That is a great question. I have not done that. Grayson, have you? I'm trying to remember. I think somewhat we used like a Google, there was like a Google Map type software that we've used in terms of for some geospatial analysis before, but I did not do the actual work. So I don't know what the tool is or what it looks like. Grayson, you have any idea?
I've done some county level heat mapping in Excel before, but like Amy said in the chat, that's more of an ArcGIS thing. And I have never personally used GIS before. That's kind of been outside of what I've done. Amy, do you want to come off mute and talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So ArcGIS now has online versions that are pretty much made to be very easy to use. And I think there are very inexpensive, like you can get a temporary license. I haven't done it that way, but I think there is an easy way to do that. And they've made it really easy for the public to use. It's not hard at all to do. But it depends on also what you're heat mapping. If you're talking about locations, it's pretty easy. It could be a little harder if you have addresses. I don't know what we're asking about.
That's great. Thank you. Can you hear me? Francis put a link in the chat to mysidewalk.com. So Francis, her team has used some of these GIS tools in their dashboard for their H-friendly health system work. Okay. Okay, and then Denise has a question about how many milestone activities does your GWEP have in your standardized work plan? I'll answer for Georgia Gear at Emory, too many. But the actual number, I actually have the number. Let me go look. So in terms of our QPUs, we actually keep the data in an Excel spreadsheet because as you all know, you can't rely on EHB not to eat your data after you've entered it. So we keep it in an Excel spreadsheet and we copy and paste it from the spreadsheet into the EHB elements. So it makes our life a lot easier. And so I can look at our QPU and double check that Excel spreadsheet. We have a total in terms of number of milestones. We have, it's all driven by your submitted proposal, and it was and for those who might not realize, it was automatically populated by what you put into the standardized work plan in your proposal. So, and you have no way to change it. So we have, when I say too many, we have 42. So we have they're broken up based off of our in the different objectives of the 3 objectives, and it's based on the project. We are a little unique in that we have a variety of different projects, and it's not all just the clinical rotations and at different sites. We also have quite a few community-based projects that we're running. But it's still 42 for us. So if anybody else either wants to come off mute and chat, or if you want to put in the chat how many milestones you have. Okay. So Ruth says that in Maine, theirs varies by the quarter. So for quarter 2, they have 12. And then Faith says they have about 30. Denise says they used a Word document to capture the comments so that they can cut and paste them. And they have 26 milestones. Laura says Arkansas has 14. Elizabeth said that NYU has about 30. Dumb right. Or 42 is too many. If I could redo our submitted work plan, I would have made it shorter. So, Faith says they also use the Excel spreadsheet, and then Kristen says Iowa has about 15.
This is Ruth from Maine. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Well, great. I'm so glad, Miranda, that you said that we can't change the work plans because I was wondering about that. I figured since they populate it for us that there is no chance to do that. But other programs that I've worked for that are not HRSA funded, that are either US CDC or other funding, you are able to change the work plan, but they don't use EHB. So what we try to do, and I'm just sort of asking if anybody else has any suggestions, is if we've realized that something we proposed, 3 years ago just doesn't make sense, we let our project officer know and we put in notes. We also use something, we use Word, but I also use an Excel, whatever works for whoever, for the people in Maine. We're trying to keep track of what we've changed and why, and when we let our PO know, because it's silly that you don't want to keep going back and saying we changed this because of this. And I don't know, does anybody have any great solutions for how to deal with that? Meaning that you can't change your work plan, we understand, but if you get from permission from your PO to sort of pivot or do something very similar but with a different partner, for example. So that's, I guess, is my question.
I think I'll say the way we address that, we've only had a couple that have changed. So one of them we were going to update a module, and we decided to discontinue that and do a different module, but the actual name of the module is in our milestone. So what we did was we let our PO know that we're switching basically the name of the module. And well, it was from a module to a presentation series, and so we let them know. And then in the first time that we made it, once we made the decision to switch, I put it in the comment. And then now every time after that, the comment just says our updated task is this presentation series, our current stat, what we've done in this quarter. I agree. We don't give all the background. We just say our updated, we've updated from this module to this series. So it's just one sentence at the beginning of our comment. That's how we've done it. Although in the chat, Denise, I don't know if you have experience with this. Denise said that she thinks that our program officer could change the language. I didn't even think to reach out to ask them if they could change the language. So. Has anyone else had, Scott, you're off mute. Maybe you have some feedback?
I'm sorry, I didn't even realize I was off mute, but I'm happy to chip in. I will say that, yeah, for what we've done in the past and on other HRSA programs, it hasn't come up for us with GWEP yet. But with other HRSA programs, when we've had things that don't fit in like that, there's a lot of square pegging and round holing with a lot of this reporting. So we just make extensive use of the comment sections of the EHB, and trust that they're going to read those. And if they have any questions, they'll come back to us. So far, they haven't been at all, and they seem to be okay with that. I don't know if others have gotten, and that's the frustrating thing to me about a lot of reporting, and I'm sure other people can commiserate, is that we just don't get a whole lot of feedback. It's either accepted or it's not. So yeah, that's what we've done in the past, is just make extensive use of the comment section to turn what is essentially a qualitative report into, or sorry, a quantitative report into a little bit of a qualitative, and use that to tell the rest of our story as best we can.
That's great. Thank you, Scott. Any other feedback? And the chat has a couple more responses, with Darlene saying they have 54. They also use Excel to keep track of it with a column for the notes. And then Jennifer says that US San Diego has about 60 overall, but it varies depending on the quarter and how they're reporting on. And they also use the Excel spreadsheet. Okay. Let's see. Does anybody else have any other questions, topics they would like to discuss? Okay. Thank you guys who engaged in the chat and came off mute and talked. We are happy. Grayson, you want to go to the next slides? We're happy to give you back some of your time today. As I said, the next meeting will be on Thursday, February 12th from 4 to 5 Eastern time. We will send out the slides and the recording. You can email Grayson if you need a registration link. And then we still have the survey open. I think that's the next slide, Grayson, if you guys want to suggest topics. If you you could also use this comment, this form if you would like to if you would like to volunteer to present, please reach out and email Grayson instead of using this form. So Jacqueline asked, has anyone done the identification verification for the EHB, and that's the ID Me or the login.gov? So I will admit that I've been using the login.gov since before this cohort. So there was nothing new to it. I used the login.gov for my PubMed also. So I already had it set up even before the EHB started asking for it. So for me, it was no issue. Emory has Duo as our authentication app, and it's on my phone. And so for those who have that, you can Google, but you can add a third party to your Duo, and that's what I have used for the login.gov. So it's pretty seamless. I go through the login.gov and do my email and password and then log in, and then I go into my app on my phone, and it has a continuously updated number, and that's what the number I put in, and I hit enter, and then it validates it, and it goes right back to the EHB. So I've had no issues with it. I don't use the ID.me, so I don't know if someone else has used those. I use login.gov. So if anyone wants to talk about their experience with ID.me. Oh, interesting. Darlene says she's had some issues with the login.gov where it's giving her failing errors. Huh. Good luck, Darlene. It fails on your phone number, everything else works out. Yes, I haven't used the phone. I use the Duo authentication. So. And then Ruth said she uses the login.gov and she's had no issues so far. So thank you. And even if you're not using the Duo app on mine's on the iPhone, but it's for, you could use it for either service. Even if you're not using it for something else, I use it for my Emory stuff. All of my Emory stuff has to have it. And that's a bunch of pushing where I have to like hit the button that yes, I accept. Yes, this is my device. You can still use it even if you're not using it for other ones, only for this. And you just go in and you set up a new authentication, and the login.gov will give you the information to link it so it's linked to your authentication software. There's other ones besides Duo, but Emory uses Duo, so I figure it's a reputable one. So. Anybody has any other questions? Feel free to come off mute, put it in the chat. Sounds great. Nothing else. I hope everyone has had a lovely holiday, got some